Welcome to a new unboxing video, or actually a re-unboxing, or maybe a revisiting video. I haven't really decided yet, but today we're going to take a look at something old. This here came out many years ago. This here is a videotape, if for people who haven't seen this here, or aka a VHS. And this here is a two-featured anime from back in probably 1994 that I have. This series was one of the first videos that I got purchased as a collector of anime. And this here actually holds two, in my opinion, important but maybe a little bit overlooked movies, or short films, or whatever you would call it. Two anime movies here, that is Wicked City and Monster City. So Wicked City is probably one of the ones that maybe some people know, maybe some people don't, but actually Monster City is probably the one that most people would recognize if they saw it. And the reason for that is that if you ever watched Keanu Reeves' John Mnemonic, in the background of the first scene where he comes in to get that interesting data uploaded into his brain, in the background there's actually two anime scenes going on, and one of them is actually a scene from Monster City, and it's actually one of the pictures from the movie that they choose to actually use as a gatekeeper or a key or whatever, or something, a password, whatever you would call it, to illustrate how old this here is. This here is, of course, 18 years up because there's blood and violence in that. I picked this here up in a store that actually still exists in my town, but has moved since then. I picked this here up around when I was probably 13 or 14, and it's still good. As you can see, it's pretty much in mint condition. It's been kept pretty well. The box, of course, has seen better days. It's dusty or to some extent, but also it is rugged, and plastic, of course, age as well. So this here is the publisher over here in Europe, because I am from Europe, is a little bit different, because this here was actually an Australian import, and that's the only people who actually that actually did it. So this here was the company Manga from actually Manga AU, or Manga .au initially. And they had a couple of things. They actually had a couple of things here. I actually have the Ninja Scroll also, which we may take a look on in another episode. We, of course, have Akira, that I do not have on VHS, but I do have it on DVD and a little bit of thing. Street Fighter, etc. A lot of great things there. So they, of course, were promoting their stuff here in black and white, and you can see it's pretty eager here. And as you can see, it's pretty in mint condition. Of course, this here is worthless because you need, of course, a VHS player. This here is actually the initial price that I paid, which is 148 crowns. And I think that was actually pretty cheap from the time, back in the mid-90s. This here, of course, was an import, but again, these here there was nobody really over here at this time here that was that much into manga. I don't own a VHS player anymore, but that is why I have these. So these here are pretty, well, rare, you can say, or not. As you can see, actually, Manga actually made this here, printed this one version here, and I don't think they printed this one here. No, this here is from another company that actually put this here. It's Central Park Media published this one here. But these here are actually the same movies. This one here does only contain one audio track, and that's, of course, the dub version, which I saw. I have from age and experience, switched over to mainly watch anime with Japanese and English subtitles. This here contains both. This here is a special edition of Wicked City, which is a great movie. I highly recommend you check it out. And you can see this here is region 2 and 4, meaning it's Europe and Australia. If I remember correctly, because remember, these here are DVDs. These are not Blu-rays. But it also has the style of that. It has a little bit of an Ninja Scroll style to it. This here is a little bit different, but maybe a little bit the same. I can't actually remember who actually made Wicked City. But this here has both Japanese and English audio tracks on it. It has, of course, English and Japanese. I think it only has English subtitles with it. It has 5.1 track on it, which is great. And it also has the normal stereo. You need to remember this here was, I can't remember when this came out here, but this here was probably in the early 2000s. That's where all the anime were starting to be converted, because the DVD and all that, maybe late what's it called, late 90s, everything started to get converted over, and I started collecting a lot of this stuff here. These here you cannot find. These here have not, as my knowledge at least, I have seen Blu-rays of this, and that's actually the trend of most. It's mostly the most popular videos or movies that gets transferred to Blu-ray. For instance, Battle Angel Alita, you will not be able to find on Blu-ray. You can only find that rarely on DVD, mostly VHS used. So yeah, and of course you can go and watch the new version, which was fully CGI movie. But yeah, so let's check this one out here. First, Wicked City. As you can see, they still do, and I think the company is still around, still do like a pretty easy background and a little bit of promotion for some of their other movies. Perfect Blue, I need actually to get my hands on. I have Street Fighter, which I actually enjoy. That's actually pretty nice. So it says the scenes here, and that's pretty much it. As for the DVD in itself, if we go over here, pretty simple, nothing special to it. Just plain simple, nicely kept. And if you have one of these here and these are broken, you can always get like new ones that will fit the bill. These here are easy to replace, and DVD is not gone anywhere. It's just that you will not get high def on it. And I actually think this here is not translated into, no, this here is 4x3. It's not widescreen. Okay, Demon City. As I said, this is the only one that actually most people should at least know or get a little bit of screenshot, and that will be, of course, from Johnny Mnemonic. You can actually see these here were actually purchased in my town also. Actually, they were imported and then purchased in my town because I knew the guy who worked at the store. I actually was one of his need to find the right pronoun here. One of his regulars that actually mainly collected these here anime, and he actually had a small shelf. The store does not exist anymore. They actually had a huge online presence, but because of regulations and all that stuff, and they weren't actually making a lot of money, it closed down. Sadly, it was probably one of the best online stores because they actually tried to get region free and all that stuff, which I of course encourage. So we got actually a little bit of a pamphlet here, or more of a postcard from Central Park Media. That's it, which is pretty much just the main thing here. I've never used it, don't send any postcards, so we'll just keep that here. Purple, simple, nothing fancy, Japanese and English. We have the AVL, which is, of course, the company that actually published this here. And we of course have the insert here. The original story by Hideo Koji, creator of Vampire Hunter D, which I highly recommend. That's a great series. I have the movie, I don't have the series. And there are some character gallery previews, English and Japanese, and with English subtitles. As I said, normally these here will always be, well, depending on if it was a US import, you could probably say there would be Spanish subtitles. If it was an European one, as I said, this here is a British, I think, or at least a US import. You will only see, mostly also because of the size of limiting on the DVDs, you will only see maybe 1 or 2 subtitles, also because it costs money to use these here to get these here sub made. You have a scene selection here, and you have, of course, the script and everything, and some behind the scene, and actually how to contact Central Park Media if you wanted to complain about something, or maybe give some feedback regarding the cutting of it all. So yeah, pretty simple. And I think we're going to do more of that. Instead of going out and buying constantly, sometimes it is, in my opinion, good to revisit stuff you haven't shown. I actually have a lot of this here that I never shown people. Only on like pictures and stuff like that. So yeah, Wicked City, Demon City, if you can check them out. Maybe Crunchyroll has it, maybe not. I do not think. But yeah, a rare thing, as I said. And this here was my first purchase, and I will never forget that that day. I do not regret it. So thank you for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Until next time, bye.